Hello, hello, Liz Booker, Literary Aviatrix. Welcome back to my Women in Aviation History textbook writing journey. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about AI. So I mentioned in my first video that AI gave me some confidence around being able to make this project happen. But I don't want anybody to go away thinking that I am letting AI do the research independent of my intervention, or that I'm letting it write the work for me. So the way that I see myself using AI is as a tool to point me in the right direction, to find source material, and then for me to go dig and look for that source material myself. So I see it as a very efficient librarian assistant or research and admin assistant, but not always a very reliable one. And so, for example, and you can hear these stories all over the place. So, for example, I was really excited about some facts around Catherine and Marjorie Stinson, and I wanted to make sure that they were true. And so I asked the source that I was using, and just to back that up for a second, the primary sources that I'm using for AI so far have been ChatGPT, Claude, and Perplexity. And so I asked Perplexity, hey, what is this site? What is the source that you're citing for this particular information? And it gave me something that wasn't exactly what I was looking for. And I said, no, 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 I want an actual source that you can cite. And it gives me a reference of an article, a 99's article. In the title is Flying. It's a family tradition. Sounds reasonable. And then the 99's magazine date was November, December 2023. And I was like, oh, perfect. I've got that in my cabinet. Let me go open it up and just read the article myself. Well, guess what? This article is about a modern day couple who are flying, has absolutely no reference, no bearing, not even a tangential relationship to Catherine and Marjorie Stinson. So one of the limitations that I'm discovering in Perplexity is that once I leave the page that I'm working in and I go back in there, I can't see the exact phrasing of the question that I asked it. It just gives me a summary. But you can see here, the source that it cited was Flying. It's a family tradition from the 99's magazine, November, December 2023. And I went back and very politely stated that this is absolutely incorrect. I have the magazine. I looked at the article. And so then it summarizes sort of all of that critique as source citation accuracy. And it comes back and says, I apologize for the inaccurate citation. You're absolutely right to question that source. It was completely fabricated and inappropriate for me to include a fictional citation. This is a serious error on my part that undermines the credibility of the content. Yeah, no kidding. And so then, it gives me sort of like, oh, this is what I should really have done. And for the future, here's the best way to get, legitimate historical sources in attributions. And again, apologizes. I should not have invented a citation, and I understand how this damages trust in historical accuracy. Thank you for catching this error. So then I go back and I ask it for what's the best way to engage with it, specifically to prevent getting this kind of response back. And it talks to me about the key to preventing AI hallucinations, which are those fabricated facts and fictional citations that can slip into seemingly authoritative responses, lies, and understanding that AI systems are sophisticated pattern matching tools, not knowledge databases with perfect recall. When I generated that fake citation about the 99's magazine, I was essentially filling in a gap with plausible sounding information rather than acknowledging uncertainty. And then it gives me a defense strategy. So then I went in and I asked it, what are some reliable databases and sources? And these were things that I actually already knew from 10 years ago being in academia. And so fortunately, I still, through my Harvard alumni status, have access to a couple of databases that are going to be really helpful, like JSTORs and EBSCO. So I can search through those. I have a huge library of books already. and some of the, things that I've already written are straight out of my own knowledge. But these are a couple of books that I keep right next to me all the time anyway. This is the Women in Aviation and Space Encyclopedia, which is absolutely awesome for giving a short clip about somebody. And then I can go look in the citations in the back of this encyclopedia to find more information. I absolutely love this book, Aviation History with Jeppesen. And I love the layout of it, all of the color images. This is how I would love my textbook to look. This is kind of what I'm hoping for. I also have a Smithsonian aviation history book that is beautiful. And then, for my women in aviation, obviously. So this is a book that I'm currently reading. It covers a lot of the period that I cover in chapter 1, and we'll probably cover some chapter 2 and 3 as well. This book right here, Neta Snook's memoir, which I read and discussed with my literary Aviatrix classics co-hosts, Dr. Jackie Boyd and Jenny Beatty. So you can go listen to that conversation. I absolutely love this book. I love Neta's story for the context and detail that it gives us for the time period before the 1920s. It is a wonderful source for the texture and cultural environment of the time. This is another book that's probably going to show up on the Aviatrix Book Club reading list next year that I'm super excited about Harriet Quimby. So, the research, I do intend to do legitimate research, obviously, and have legitimate citations. My Chicago style manual is on the way from Amazon, and so I'll dig into that because that's going to be the citing resource that I use to accredit, the academic research. So that's where I am with AI use. I'm excited about the power and the efficiency of it. I'm extremely cautious about how I'm engaging with it or allowing it to imprint on my writing. And I am keenly aware that I will need to acknowledge any specific use of AI in the final product. So I just wanted to share my relationship and how I'm using AI in this project. And I'm sure that will evolve, and I'll share that as I go along, sort of how does my relationship evolve, what's working, what's not working. I'll kind of get into those details as we go. And in the meantime, I'm about to go off on a little trip for a couple of weeks. I'm taking a break from the research and writing as I continue to start to have my initial meetings with the people who have already agreed to participate as my advisory board members and getting their feedback and stuff on chapter 1. So I'll provide updates on all of that once it's all in. Thanks for stopping in. Thanks again for all the enthusiasm and support for this project, and I'll see you next time.